All right, and with that, we are live with Chad Holmes. How you doing, man?
Really good. So excited to be with you today. This is ton of fun.
Dude, I'm stoked to chat with you. You are one of the sales guys and partners, I believe, over at Ibex Home Warranty.
Yep.
If you get on your website, it says that your president is actually, is it Hoofer? Is that who
Yeah.
it is on your website?
Yeah. It's a goat. So we just didn't want to take ourselves too serious, and we figured a goat, a fearless goat, by the way. So, real quick story on that, Alex. I worked for a home warranty company for a long time, and I absolutely love them. They were sold to a national company, and I decided I wanted to go a different direction. And so my business partners and I started Ibex. Well, we were thinking about what we could name the company, and so honestly, I was sitting home with my wife one night watching Planet Earth 2. Great show, by the way. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but there was a segment on the Ibex, and it's these mountain goats that live in the Himalayas and the Alps and in the Pyrenees in Europe, and they live on sheer cliffs, right? And so I'm like, babe, that's an awesome name. Let's do it. And she was like, ah. So I introduced it to my partners, and they're like, Ibex. And it took a second to take. And then one of my business partners, Adam, was like, let's name him Hoofer. And so that's where it came from. And we've just, it's totally taken off, and it's been a good thing to be able to be recognizable, right? And so, like it or not, we're having a ton of fun with it, and we're just all things goat and craziness, and we've done goat yoga, and just we handed out Hoofer socks that were just hooves, and it's been really good for us. I mean, to get some brand recognition fairly quickly.
Yeah, dude, I love it. In fact, I wasn't around when this company was named, but it gives me some company name envy for sure. Because Premier Credit doesn't really stack up. I kind of fall into the same. Wait, what credit company is that? Premier. There's 90 of those, right? So I
Yeah.
love it, dude. I think it's so cool. And I was introduced to you, man. It must have been from multiple sources. I reached out. We were hosting a charity golf tournament, and I reached out to some loan officers and some real estate agents that I work with, and said, "Hey, who do you know in the home warranty space?" And it was hilarious because it was just I got so many referrals to you like in the same day, and then we talked quite a bit, and you guys just come in. You have such a huge presence. Your branding is fantastic, but you also have such a great reputation. And this last event that we had done, that you'd come down to our office and kind of helped with, and as awkward as it was
It
still
was good. But
it was a good experience. And one thing that you and I talked about was just the relationship sale, and how kind of different and unique that was. And when you left, I was thinking, man, we got to get you on video to talk about that, because
sure.
I do feel like that's something that benefits a lot of people, and you do it at a high level.
Yeah.
And I would say, hands down, you are one of the most connected and fun industry professionals that I've met with. What drives that energy and that influence?
So I totally appreciate it, Alex, and you did a great job on that tournament, by the way, and we were grateful to be a part of it. And I was thankful that you reached out to us because we got to meet some really cool people through it. So anytime we have those experiences, it's a ton of fun, and I just want to thank you for it. So I'm not one of those guys, Alex, that is a hardcore pressure guy. Like, I'm not going to go into either a real estate office or a title company and shake somebody down and put them up against the wall and be like, hey, I need your next deal, right? That's just not me. In addition to that, that's not fun for me. I really enjoy the relationship part of it. And I'm being sincere when I say that. Those that I get to interact with on a daily basis, I thoroughly enjoy. There's no funner thing for me than to walk into a real estate office or a title company, and it's almost like you're probably too young to remember this, but there was a show called Cheers, and Norm, one of the characters, whenever he walk into the bar, they'd be like Norm, and so
Yeah,
it's kind of that feeling when you get to know these people, right? And so I think sometimes if done in the right way, it's a great break for their day, right? Like, they're so busy and stressed with different things. If I show up with a fun marketing piece, or I take in treats to these people, and I hope that it's a fun breakup, but it's also an opportunity to talk about home warranty, right? And so I like to do it in the relationship way, and my way is I'm not going in there with the intent to sell a warranty. I know that sounds totally crazy. I'm going in there with the intent to be able to get to know these people and know them on a personal basis, where they'll open up and share like their family stuff. And then, it's always fun to be able to go back and talk to them about, hey, what's your family doing and how's things going? And, build relationships that way. And I've just found by doing that, the business naturally comes.
Yeah.
And, I would do anything for them. And I think that it's reciprocated too, right? Like if they called me and needed a favor, like I'd be all over it to help them in any way. And I want them to always feel that way. So, and the other part of that too, Alex, is the passion side of it, right? Like I'm incredibly passionate about my company and what I do. And so I think that can be contagious sometimes and hopefully helps people too in what they're doing, right? Like if you're passionate about what you do, I think it comes through. And it's a fun way to be able to do business, at least in my opinion, right? Like I enjoy that part of it, the building the relationships and getting to know people, like I mentioned, and just going out and have fun every day. In fact, sometimes I tell my wife, it's like I get to go and play with my best friends every day, and so it's not something that I don't look forward to, but I really enjoy getting up and going to work because I know that I'm going to interact with some really cool people.
Yeah. I love that because for me, I don't have that same energy level. And when I first started in this industry, we would spend like $500 a month on donuts, and just because I didn't know how to cold call, I'll be totally honest. Like, so I'd go around and I'd make a couple friends in the mortgage industry, and then I'd ask them, who else do you know, and who else do you know, and we went from nothing to something pretty quick, and then all of a sudden, I don't know if this happened to you. You've been in the industry for a long time, but I kind of forgot what got me there with a lot of people, and I'm sitting there going, well, God, we've got better systems, we got better this, got better this, better this. And it was kind of one of those, like, well, geez, you can't stop investing in the relationship.
Right.
And that's something that, with a lot of our new guys that are out hustling, building relationships and growing, you're never going to systemize a relationship. It just, right. it doesn't work that way.
Well said. I get it at 100%. I think we've talked as a sales team, and what we like to do is focus on those things that really have the biggest impact for us. And we found that it's, number one, office visits, making sure that we're in front of people all the time. If they don't see it, it's out of sight, out of mind. It really truthfully is, because in my industry, and maybe in yours too, Alex, it's interesting that a lot of times people hear warranty and they just think they're all the same, right? And so that's part of my job, to be able to educate. But at the same time too, they're in a hurry. It's not a big part of the real estate transaction. We're the bottom of the barrel. And so we have a limited amount of time to be able to engage and be able to educate about these things. And so, if we're there constantly, we're there to provide them with little tidbits about the warranty, what makes us different. And we do it in a way to be able to build upon it each visit, so to speak, is what we found to be the most effective way to be able to do it. And, office visits is probably number one. We do a lot of presentations. We get involved in a lot of activities with agents because we want to be able to give back. We don't want to just take. We realize that, hey, agents are out there working their little tails off, generating these deals, and without them doing what they do, I really don't have a job unless I want to go door to door knocking to consumers to try to sell this. The easier way is to be able to work with real estate agents. And so, it's one of those things where I really truthfully believe that if you're in front of them quite a bit in many different varieties, whether it be Facebook, in their office, doing presentations, I do a lot of phone calls because I'm finding that more and more agents don't go into the office like they did a while ago. And so phone calls have been another good way for me to be able to just talk to them about home warranty real quick. And my approach is very simple with them. I just want to make sure that it's short, and then I follow up and then just try to build a relationship that way. So anyway, a couple things to think about there.
Well, I love it because you have a strategy, and a lot of people, what I find, especially a lot of mortgage professionals watch this, a lot of real estate professionals watch this, and oftentimes they want the relationships, but it's like they forget, like that third or fourth week in where they're trying to build a relationship, they run out of stuff to talk about.
Right.
And it's either way too personal or it's way too structured, and there's not enough, and that's kind of a good segue into my next question, which is, do you have a process or a mantra or a philosophy when approaching relationships? Because for me, my mantra was always persistence is my charm. I was never that guy that could walk into an office and light up somebody's day. I was like, here's some donuts, and if you have people that have crappy credit, send them to me, and then I'm out. Like I didn't have that special ability to walk in and just really light up the room, and so I was always really focused on persistence. Being the one that is persistent, always available, always answering my phone and stopping in. And so, is there something that you focus on there, and then maybe something that you see realtors and lenders could potentially do better as well?
Sure. So, like I mentioned, I mean, going into an office, I think I just don't have the hesitation to walk in and just introduce myself and be who I am and be comfortable with it, right? I know I'm not going to jive with everybody, but I think for a lot of the time I will. And I think people that have these preconceived notions about, going in and saying hello and trying to build those relationships. And sometimes it was just interesting. I was talking to a loan officer this morning, and after a meeting that I was at, and I really like this guy. He's a great guy, but he's like, man, you're everywhere. You're working so hard. He's like, I wish I could just take some of what you're doing and incorporate it into mine. And I'm like, dude, you totally can. Mm-hmm. He's like, well, how do you approach offices? And I'm like, I don't have a secret magic bullet. Truthfully, I just walk in with candy and treats and a cool leave behind. Like, we just did these mouse pads right there. But we've been handing out those, and we were just doing some fun stuff, right? Like I mentioned before, we did the socks that look like hooves. We did lotion. We did scratch and sniff stickers with our information on it. I think you just have to be willing to be able to put yourself out there and be okay with it. I mean, there's going to be things that you learn. I've stuck my foot in my mouth. I can't tell you how many times, but I learned through the process, right? By doing it, you overcome that fear. And one of my business partners is like, sometimes you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And I don't know that I'm there yet.
Yeah.
But I think I've gone into enough offices and approached enough people that I'm very comfortable doing that now. And it takes a little bit of time, but you have to be willing to invest the time in some of these relationships, because I've heard it from so many people that they tell me, Chad, some of your competitors come in here and they're just like, give me an order. What do you got going? I need an order, and they're like, they don't even know our names or anything. And so I think by just going back and doing it and just trusting in it in the process, and that's where the thing, I think that people get a little bit impatient, Alex, and you may know that is, well, if it doesn't generate business today, then they're on to something else, right? And so I think you have to be willing to write out a process for a while and be willing to just put the time and effort into it to be able to see if it's the right way to go. We found some processes to be very, very good. And that, again, that's our office visits. It's making phone calls. It's doing presentations and, just being in front of people a ton, help real estate events and doing those types of things. And I think it's helped us grow tremendously fast, from when we started to where we are now. I'm just excited about our growth and what we've been able to do. And, I think in addition to that, like for us, we can go out and sell all the time as salespeople, but we've also got a behind the scenes team like you do, Alex, that need to be praised, because our service providers on our back end, the people that are taking phone calls from homeowners and helping out on that side are absolute rock stars, and they do an amazing job. And so it's a total team effort where we are, and we all get the idea of what we're trying to accomplish, and the service level that we want to provide is huge. And so those two things combined, that working the hard on the sales end, but making sure on the back end too that that those things get taken care of, and providing a service that is exceptional, I think, is wonderful. But we're also not afraid of, if we make a mistake, how to attack it, right? Because we're not perfect. And, I hope people will trust that, when they call me, then I can help out and we can get things done and take care of them. And I think that, picking up the phone, answering calls, on the weekends or evenings, because in our business, I mean, it just, water heaters don't traditionally break between the hours of 8 and 5. It's always in the middle of the night or something. But, being able to go the extra mile to be able to help people, I think, has been something beneficial too. Boy, that was a long answer there. That
was a really good answer, though, because
holy cow,
you just gave me like 3 or 4 extra talking points. And the funny thing is, because I'm listening to your experience, I'm listening to the way you're talking about it, and I've been through a lot of it. And what I find is interesting is, when I actually went through a buyout with one of my business partners a couple of years ago, and it was really fun to kind of go through this experience of trying to revitalize a business to grow, because we've always been really good on the back end, and there was a period of time where we weren't so great on the front end of getting out and doing the marketing and all those things. And I remember I was having lunch with a loan officer that I'd worked with for like 7 years. And she says to me, she's like, it seems like your company just like woke up one day and wanted to do business again. And it just killed me. I was just like, oh, that hurts. But as I'm thinking about it, it was a lot of what you were talking about, which is there has to be a presence and it has to be consistent. Because if your service is great, it doesn't matter if you don't tell people about it. Right?
Yep.
And so you can't just rely on excellent service. And what I oftentimes find with loan officers and real estate agents when they're trying to work this relationship side of sales is, the concept of stopping in, or the concept of, just, hey, I really see you as a valuable asset and I want to be a partner with you in this industry. It's easy to talk about. It's really hard to execute on, because you do have to be consistent. And I think that the guys and the gals that really kill it from relationship referrals, they're ultra consistent about providing great service and making sure that they're top of mind with their referral partners. And I've had to go through that the hard way a couple times. But, it's always fun and revitalizing when you do, because you look at it and go, God, this is easier than I thought it was, Why am I making this so difficult?
I totally agree. And I think you hit the nail right on the head there with consistency. I think you have to be consistent at, like in our case, the sales part of it, right? Like we couldn't stop going out and seeing people and keep having our business even maintain itself or grow. It won't happen. And I think that's with any sales process. I mean, I'm not enlightening anybody here with anything that hasn't been said before, but there's a real connection between consistency and growing your business. It just has to happen. And so, that's something that we talk about all the time, is making sure that you're getting out and doing those things that we know to work, right? And just keep doing them, doing them. And it's so cool too, Alex, with another point there is, as you're consistent and people get to see that consistency and they work with you, it's cool how people will become your neutral third-party advocates.
Yeah.
And that is priceless, right? Like, you build those relationships and those people go to work for you. It's like having a whole nother sales force out there that are spreading the word for you. And it's awesome, man. So that's the real big thing, is being able to build that up and do that.
Yeah. That's one of probably the hardest things to accomplish in a relationship sale, is going from, kind of like, hey, I'll send you business, to, hey, you've got to send this person business, right?
Yeah.
That's big time right there. And as much as I want to go down that rabbit hole, because there's a whole lot I want to talk about on that one, I've got to take a hard left here, because I didn't write this question down. It's going to come kind of out of left field at you, but you've been in the industry for a long time, and you left one company to start your own. Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of loan officers and real estate agents, they look at even though they might be branded with another company, they look at their businesses as their own, they're entrepreneurs.
Sure.
And one of the reasons why, some of my partners were like, hey, it seems like you guys woke up is, sometimes you get pulled away from certain things when you're trying to build a business, right? You can't always be out selling if you're trying to build things internally. And, those things happen. But when you're grinding and you're going from zero to something, right? I mean, there was probably a day where, IBEX didn't have revenue, right? And then
Yep.
you had to start to
Sure.
build that. What advice would you give to these entrepreneurial loan officers and real estate agents and title officers and these people who look at their business as their own
Sure.
to grow and to really make it something special?
That's a great question. I would say don't be afraid to let people know what you're doing, right? Like when we started, I mean, we just started just blasting everything. I think day one we had a plan of like how we were going to hit Facebook and launch the company and then do all these videos and try to just get the word out there as quickly as humanly possible. And the videos that we do, we don't take ourselves too serious. I don't think you have to, you know, do a Facebook video or do something live and expect to be perfect. I think people like when they see people that are normal, right? Like like people that make mistakes and may mess up on something. Don't worry about it. Just get your thing out there and let people know what you're doing and all mediums possible, right? Whether that be phone calls, video. I think nowadays as probably a lot of people, I mean, videos are key in getting your message out there. So I love to use BombBomb. That's a great tool to be able to email people out, and they can just click it open right in their email. They don't have to go to a link. I think that's been something that's been super helpful. But I would just again reiterate: don't be afraid to be who you are, because you're going to connect with somebody, and your message doesn't have to be 100% perfect. I think you can be who you are. People will be attracted to that, and it will help get the word around a little bit quicker.
I love that answer because I did a video recently with a loan officer who their team name is Loans Can Be Fun, and we
Allison,
about Allison Olson.
I love Allison. She's my hero.
Yeah, she's rad, right? And,
Yeah.
and we talked about like this process of humanizing the loan officer because there really is, I wouldn't say a stigma, but I would say that the process has become so defined and it's all about efficiency and it's all about production that sometimes we forget, hey, there's somebody on the other end of that transaction. And Allison's really flipped the script on that. And so with you saying that, that's who popped into my head, and just like somebody who just really is trying to make it unique to themselves. And obviously you're a good example of that because the goat yoga video, that ranks up there with just about anything else that I've ever seen. That was pretty dang funny. And what's awesome about that is that one video got my team talking, and I think we want to challenge your team to a dodgeball tournament.
Oh, dude!
Pretty sure we're pretty good over here. We got a lot of confidence. So I don't know if you want to. You don't have to accept.
No, it's on. Whether it's just me against your team, but we will put together some people. I love competitions like that and fun, and we could do a fun video surrounding that, Alex. We're totally down with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. It's on.
Okay, I'm looking forward to this. It'll be a good time. But for everybody watching, I gotta tell you, Chad and IBEX on Warranty, absolutely top shelf service. When you're recommended to the same person from multiple referral sources, it really says a lot. And I got to tell you, Chad, I've loved the conversation today. It's been a lot of fun. Before we sign off, is there anything that you want to add before we finish up?
Alex, I think that you do an amazing job too. I totally appreciate you letting me be on here today and talking. And I've learned from some stuff that you've said today, which is awesome. I think that you're doing exactly what needs to be done out there, right? Like you are very professional. You're a lot of fun. I think you're an out-of-the-box thinker and buck kind of the traditional model, which I absolutely love. I think it's so very cool. And, whatever we can do to help and support you, let us know. And if people have any questions of me, I'm happy to help. I don't know that I have the crystal ball on everything, but I'm maybe just dumb enough to be able to just go out there and just work hard and go into these offices and just really get to know people. And I think that agents and loan officers can do the same success. And I love what we do, and it's a fun industry that we're involved in. I really like it. There's
Yeah.
There is so many awesome people out there that we get to rub shoulders with that are just amazing individuals, and I count myself fortunate to be able to be in this industry and rub shoulders with those people and good folks like you that are really trying to work hard and provide a great service to people.